We have a lot of responsibilities as professional sports people to kind of show people not just the good things, but also the bad things. And people tend to only think about, they're very honest with you, obviously. So whenever you're playing really well, they're telling you how great you are. But then they're even quicker to tell you how bad you are. So we go through this a lot more nowadays than probably what the people that played before us went through because we have social media. So from that aspect, having these games where we emphasize on mental health, so to speak, and we emphasize on whatever it may be, Indigenous Day or whatever it might be, it's important for us to really, not just play it off as a normal game because it's not. I think this whole initiative with Bell Let's Talk is so much bigger than that, and it's not about just mental health, or women's mental health. It's all about the general idea of mental health awareness. And speaking of my own sort of experience, I know how hard it can be, and I also know how easy things could be as well. But I am day to day, I'm still not fighting it, but I'm working on it every single day. And so to me personally, it's a very special night because I've been at that point in my life when it was really rough, it was really tough, and now I'm in a better place. And so I can speak out of my own experience a little bit more and try to have an impact on, not just the city of Ottawa or, in the NHL overall, but if only I can have, just one kid, start talking a little bit more and being more open, that's enough for me. And that's where you got to start. Yeah, so there's been two instances, I would say. One was longer than the other. One was during COVID. We just had Lily, uh, greatest, time of my life, having two kids. She's newly born. I left her after 2 weeks to go play the COVID season in Buffalo. So I was by myself. And like everybody else in the league, we were by ourselves. We only met at the rink, and that's it. It is a very shaky time for everybody. And so what happened at this point as well was that my father passed during COVID. And I didn't have the opportunity to go back home. And I've done this before. I've had other people in my life, unfortunately, leaving us, my grandma or so, and I didn't attend their funeral. And the biggest thing for me when attending a funeral is to get closure. To have this thing that or for in this case, this person that you care immensely about leaving you, and then you want to get closure to leave them in the past. If you're not attending the funeral, you don't get the closure. So a lot of feelings and a lot of weird feelings and thoughts pops up into your head that, oh, this might not even have happened. I have no proof except for my mother's words saying that my dad is gone. I haven't seen him. I haven't talked to him. I haven't seen the casket or anything. So you just living sort of like a weird dream that, okay, there might be a chance I come home and he's still there. But the logical side of it knows that no, he's gone. I had an immense help from the Sabres organization. So I want to start off there. Like they did everything right. So yeah, I'm very thankful for how they approached it. But I didn't have my wife there. I didn't have my mom there. I didn't have my brother there. I didn't have that. Really, your closest family with me. So I never had what I call the cry. The time when you can be so devastated that you can just leave everything and be as vulnerable as possible in this moment to be able to move forward. I never had that. So it was always like a boiling kettle. Like it would always puff out some more here and some more here, and then it would just keep doing this, and you're trying to keep everything under control, but you can't. It will boil over sooner enough. And you never know when it's going to be. And during this time as well, I was dealing with injuries. So that's also another thing. You want to be there, you want to be able to play and being with the team. So at this point as well, now I'm getting even less social interactions. So with all this continuing on, I felt so alone, even though that I did have all the help that I could have asked for from their perspective. And so that's one thing. Another thing that comes back to my dad as well, and this is also something that I've been open and honest with as well, is that my father went through a very rough time when me and my brother moved away, and he started drinking and eventually became an alcoholic. And at this point in my life, I was around 17, 18 years old. It got to a point when I was older and I had my second year in Sweden and the SHL that I thought about quitting. Because it was too much. I was not emotionally, I haven't evolved emotionally to a point where I could handle all of my feelings and my thoughts in a way that I could play hockey professionally. Nowadays I can, because I've gone through this, I've learned from it. But at that point as well, I was just a little kid trying to figure out life and why things were going the same way. And at one point I even broke down crying after practice, talking to my goalie coach, asking him, what am I doing wrong? Why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to play hockey. And the differences between that time and the COVID time is, like I said prior, is that I had no one to hug during the COVID season compared to this time. So I was able to kind of work through it better when I was younger because of which people I had around me, compared to the COVID season when I didn't have that closest support group. There is nothing more honest and strong, in my opinion, than having someone crying when you're talking to them. Being able to show those raw emotions and being so vulnerable and so open. If you are like that to me, I know I can be the same thing towards you. And you trust me with everything. So for me as the receiver of all this, I would feel so appreciated. It just means so much that you can be this open and honest. And I've come from a place where I didn't cry about things to then reevaluate how I see things thanks to my wife and how she sees it, to then being able to deal with it way better. So there's certain times in my life as well when I just feel like I want to cry, and at that point I allow myself to do it because it feels so much better afterwards. It's like laughing. Like when you feel like laughing, you just laugh, and when you want to cry, you just want to cry, and there's nothing wrong about it. And this toxic masculinity about suck it up, you just like go through it. There's certain points in time when you have to suck it up and keep moving forward. It's just, you have to see the situation for what it is and what needs to be done at that point. But I will never tell someone not to cry, because that is their God honest opinion and emotion and raw emotions that comes forward. I like to go on walks. I like to be out in nature. I like to feel the air, the temperature, the coldness, the hotness, everything, the sun, the rain. It doesn't even matter what kind of a weather it is. I like to go out there and I like to embrace it and really get a feel of what it is. I don't put anything in my ears to listen to a podcast or songs that gets me, like that will just take you away from reality and the present, because you're focused on listening to the music, listen to the podcast. Oh, this is interesting, but I'm dealing with this. So take this out, bring this in, and allow yourself to be with your thoughts. And sometimes it's just easier to move and then, sort things out. And I really like to go out walks with my wife or whoever it may be. If it's a friend that's struggling, whatever, and say, hey, we don't have to sit down, because it gets very intimate and some people don't like it. Let's go out for a walk, and we just walk, and then maybe 15, 30 minutes in, things start to progress in a way that they're starting to opening up, and we just keep walking. You're doing something. You don't feel forced to doing something. And that's one thing. The second thing is I am very honest. I'm very open, and I worked on it. But one of the things that I do is that whenever I'm going through things, rough patches, maybe whatever it may be in my daily life, in my life at home or whatever, if someone comes up to me and asks me how I am, I'll tell them the truth. And they ask me, hey, how are you doing? You know what? Not that good. And I give them that honesty, and then you can tell that, oh, here comes the second question. Why is that? And then we're going. And then I let them into my life saying, oh, I don't know, kids were up all night. I don't know, I can't get them to sleep, or dealing with this and dealing with that. And now you allow them into your life and you have this conversation with them. And it could be like only like 1, 2, 3 minutes or so. Instead of, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. And then you walk. Nothing came out of it. They think I'm good because people will take word for what you're saying. But then if you're putting a little bit more thought to it, and then you actually open yourself up on that first occasion, or you might not have to do this to every single person you meet. I have 20 teammates. I can't do the same thing to everybody. But then once you start talking to a couple of them, words comes around and whatever, and then I always feel lighter because now they know what I'm going through. So if there's things that happens on the ice or off the ice, oh yes, no, he's dealing with this, or he's doing that, or maybe he was up all night. No wonder he's tired or grumpy, And so it's easier for people to put themselves into your perspective and understand you in a better way than if you just tell them that, no, I'm good, and then you go about today and then you're grumpy or you're really sad, and they're like, what is going on? Like, what is wrong with Linus? What is, and it might be nothing wrong. It might be just something easily like if kids wouldn't, sleep, or you have a newborn at home. And so those are the two things that I like to do. But it might be hard for a lot of people to be, that open and honest. And it took a while for me as well. It took a lot of practice, and it took a lot of honesty, and it took a lot of good people, I would say, to do that with. Sort of like a practice, as you would say. First of all, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel the way that you feel. No one can have any opinion about how you feel. That is your feelings and your feelings alone. When you're ready to talk about it, find a person that you trust the most and talk to them. You never have to feel forced to talk to someone that you don't fully trust. And if you don't have one of those people, I can be one of your people.